Malcolm Turnbull has come under pressure on his first overseas trip as Prime Minister, having to manage a delicate diplomatic row with one of Australia's closest allies. His New Zealand counterpart is furious over a spate of recent deportations, calling on our government to show compassion.
Malcolm Turnbull face to face with Maori warriors, deciding if the Australian Prime Minister is friend or enemy. While he passed the test, the Kiwis have their noses out of joint over changed visa rules for New Zealanders living in Australia. Anyone who's served a year or more in prison faces deportation. Around 1,000 Kiwis are affected, 200 are in immigration detention centres.
Each and every one of those New Zealanders is able to travel to New Zealand.
Where someone has a long-term community of interest in Australia, I think in the spirit of mateship there should be some compassion shown.
Walking his first diplomatic tightrope as PM, Malcolm Turnbull's standing firm. But after formal talks, he's promising to speed up the appeals process and, as a peace offering, student loans for Kiwis who've lived in Australia since childhood.
We believe that that will benefit about 2,600 students, New Zealand students resident in Australia in the first instance.
Both Prime Ministers acknowledge Australia and New Zealand won't always see eye to eye, but they claim together they can take the relationship even further.
Australia and New Zealand is like any love affair. If it's to last, you've got to put a lot of work into it.
While the two leaders have a lot in common,
We're both, by nature, sunny, optimistic people.
John Key's been in office for nearly 7 years. Malcolm Turnbull's been there less than 7 weeks.
You'll not only be a fine Prime Minister of Australia, you'll be a long-term leader of Australia.
I've said for many years how much I admire John Key.
But the budding prime ministerial bromance doesn't extend to the Rugby World Cup.
I know the right rugby team to be barracking for.
Kerry Yaxley, 9 News.